If you spend even 5 minutes scrolling through YouTube or Instagram, you have undoubtedly seen them. The 20-something gurus standing in front of rented Lamborghini Huracans or filming from a high-rise balcony in Dubai with a rented view. Regardless of their face or their accent, they all peddle the exact same narrative. They look into the camera and tell you a dramatic, often fabricated story about how they escaped the rat race. They describe their old 9-to-5 job as a nightmare, a prison that sucked the soul right out of their body and left them a hollow shell. Then they claim to have replaced that misery with something else, something vague, something mysterious. They sell you on the seductive idea of passive income and absolute unchecked freedom. But notice how they rarely tell you exactly what the business model is until you pull out your credit card and join their exclusive academy. And more often than not, the business model is simply teaching other people how to get rich. It is a cynical cycle of selling the dream rather than living it. But today, I want to offer a different perspective, a perspective that is not trying to sell you a course, a mastermind group, or a mentorship program. I want to talk about why the corporate job, the very thing these gurus demonize as modern slavery, might actually be the superior choice for your mental health, your bank account, and yes, even your freedom. It is time to stop apologizing for wanting a steady paycheck and start appreciating the massively underrated benefits of the corporate world. It is time to dismantle the myth that you are failing if you aren't the CEO of your own empire. The illusion of freedom. The biggest selling point for the anti-job crowd is always freedom. They shout from the rooftops that a corporate job is a cage because you have to be at a desk for 8 hours a day. They claim that working for yourself allows you to dictate your own schedule, wake up at noon, and answer to no one. But let us look at what that actually looks like in practice. I would argue that a corporate job gives you a specific kind of freedom that entrepreneurship simply cannot match. It gives you the freedom of mental peace. When you work for a corporation, there is a clear, distinct boundary between your professional life and your personal life. When the clock strikes 5 or when you close your laptop for the day, you are done. You can go home to your family, play video games, read a book, or just stare at the wall if you want to. You have the luxury of checking out. Compare that to the punishing reality of the side hustle or the startup founder. When you're building a business, there is no off switch. You are the boss, the marketing department, the customer service representative, and the janitor. If you stop working, the money stops coming in. The gurus say you don't need to hustle, but the reality of getting a business off the ground requires an obsession that eats away at your evenings, your weekends, and your relationships. In the pursuit of financial freedom, you often end up sacrificing your temporal freedom. You trade a 40-hour work week with a boss for an 80-hour work week where the boss is you. And frankly, you are a terrible taskmaster who never gives yourself a day off. The creativity myth. Another common attack on the 9-to-5 life is the idea that it kills creativity. The narrative suggests that corporate workers are mindless drones pushing paper in a gray cubicle, while entrepreneurs are the true visionaries painting on the canvas of commerce. This is a massive oversimplification, and frankly, an insult to millions of talented professionals. The truth is, you can be incredibly creative within a corporate structure, and often you can do so with much higher stakes and vastly superior resources. In a corporate job, you are often given a budget, a talented team, and access to proprietary tools that you could never afford on your own. You get to solve complex, large-scale problems without the paralyzing fear that a wrong decision will bankrupt you personally. Creativity loves constraints. Working within the guidelines of a brand or a project scope can actually push you to find ingenious solutions. Furthermore, think about where your mental energy goes. Because you aren't bogged down by the administrative nightmares of running a company, like filing quarterly taxes, chasing unpaid invoices, and managing payroll compliance, you actually have the mental bandwidth to focus on the creative work you enjoy. The entrepreneur spends half their time being an administrator. The corporate employee gets to be a specialist. The introvert's dilemma. Let's talk about personality types, because this is a crucial factor that the get-rich gurus completely ignore. Building a business is inherently social and often aggressive. It requires constant networking, constant selling, and eventually managing people. For an introvert, this is not a dream. It is a recipe for absolute burnout. Starting a scalable business is incredibly difficult because it requires you to take actions that involve high-friction human interaction. You have to hire staff, negotiate with vendors, and manage conflict.
If you are naturally introverted, you might gravitate towards side hustles you can do from the comfort of your home, hiding behind a computer screen. This might feel safe at first, but it severely limits your growth. To truly scale a business, you cannot do it alone. You must hire. But hiring is hard. Managing humans is messy. If you avoid this because of your personality, you end up doing everything yourself. You become the bottleneck in your own business. In a corporate environment, the infrastructure of human interaction is already built for you. You have an HR department to handle disputes. You have managers to handle strategy. You can focus on your specific role, interact with your immediate team, and retreat when you need to recharge. You do not carry the weight of an entire organization's livelihood on your shoulders, and you do not have to be the face of the company every single day. The jack of all trades curse. This leads us to the problem of specialization versus generalization. In the corporate world, you are hired to be good at one or two things. If you are a graphic designer, you design. If you are an accountant, you crunch numbers. You are allowed and encouraged to become a master of your specific craft. When you chase the entrepreneurial dream, you are forced to become a jack of all trades and a master of none. Suddenly, being a good coder isn't enough. You also have to be a copywriter, a social media manager, a legal expert, and a salesperson. Let's be honest with ourselves. It is impossible to be good at everything. This fragmentation of focus leads to mediocrity. You end up doing a subpar job at 5 different roles because you're stretched too thin. This costs you time, lots of it. Hours spent trying to figure out tax laws or how to edit a video are hours not spent on your actual talent. In a job, you are part of a machine where other people handle the things you are bad at. That is not a weakness, that is efficiency. It allows you to deepen your skills in one area, making you more valuable over time, rather than shallowing your skills across 10 different areas just to keep the lights on. The financial volatility nobody talks about. Entrepreneurship is often framed as higher risk, higher reward, but the emotional cost of inconsistent income is rarely mentioned in the flashy Instagram reels. There is a specific type of low-grade anxiety that comes from not knowing how much money you will make next month. Even during good months, you are stressed about whether the next month will be a drought. This financial volatility affects everything. It affects your ability to sign a lease, to get a mortgage, or to plan a vacation. In a corporate job, that paycheck hits your direct deposit every 2 weeks like clockwork. That predictability is a superpower. It allows you to automate your savings, plan for the future, and sleep soundly at night knowing that your livelihood isn't dependent on having a viral post or a lucky sales month. Benefits are part of your paycheck. We also need to talk about the silent wealth of benefits. Health insurance, paid leave, sick days, and retirement matching. These corporate benefits are invisible until you don't have them. When you are self-employed, you realize very quickly that health insurance is astronomically expensive. There is no employer matching your 401k contributions. If you get sick and can't work for a week, you don't get paid. In the corporate world, these benefits act as a safety net that anchors your stability. They're essentially a massive salary bonus that you don't see on the pay stub, but you certainly feel in your life security. When you calculate the cost of self-funding these safety nets, the unlimited earning potential of entrepreneurship often starts to look a lot less impressive compared to a solid corporate compensation package.
The myth of working on your own terms. One of the most pervasive lies is that entrepreneurs answer to no one. The reality is that instead of having one boss, you now have hundreds. Your bosses are your clients who can fire you at any moment. Your boss is the algorithm, which can change overnight and wipe out your traffic. Your boss is the market economy, which can shift and render your product obsolete. When you work for a company, you have a manager. You might not always like them, but the relationship is defined. When you work for yourself, you are at the mercy of invisible forces. If YouTube changes its monetization policy, you are fired. If a client decides they don't like your tone, you are unpaid. You are not truly independent. You are just dependent on more volatile masters. Decision fatigue is real.
There is a concept in psychology called decision fatigue. The human brain only has a finite amount of energy for making choices each day. Entrepreneurs have to make hundreds of small decisions daily, from pricing strategies to font choices to email wording. This drains your battery. By the time you are done with work, you have nothing left for your personal life. In a corporate job, many of these decisions are already made for you. The systems are in place, the branding is established, the pricing is set. This frees up your mental energy. You can expend your brain power on doing your actual work well, and more importantly, you have energy left over to decide what to cook for dinner, or where to go on vacation, or how to pursue your hobbies. Career capital versus quick wins. There is also a profound difference in how you build value over time. Corporate jobs allow you to build what is called career capital. Your skills, your reputation, and your experience stack over the years. You gain seniority. You become a recognized expert in your field. This is a slow, compounding growth. Contrast this with the side hustle culture that often chases short-term wins. You might make some quick cash dropshipping a trendy product, but are you building a career? Are you building a skill set that will be valuable in 10 years? Often the answer is no. You are chasing trends, not building leverage. A 20-year corporate career results in a resume that opens doors. A series of failed side hustles often results in a resume that looks like chaos. Failure hits different when it is personal. We must also address the emotional weight of failure. When a project fails in a corporate setting, it is unfortunate. You might get a reprimand, or the team might pivot. But the failure is contained, it is shared, it is survivable. When your own business fails, it feels like a referendum on your worth as a human being. It is not just a project that died, it's your baby, it's your dream. The psychological toll of entrepreneurial failure is devastating and can lead to deep depression. In a job, you are insulated from the catastrophic lows of the market. You can make a mistake without losing your house. Not everything has to be monetized. Finally, we have reached a point in society where we feel guilty if our hobbies aren't making money. Hustle culture has convinced us that rest is just recovery time so we can work harder, and that hobbies are just pre-revenue side hustles. This is a tragic way to live. There is immense freedom in enjoying an activity simply because you like it, without trying to squeeze profit out of it. You can enjoy photography without trying to become a wedding photographer. You can enjoy baking without starting a cupcake business. A steady corporate job funds these passions. It allows you to keep your hobbies pure. The quickest way to kill your love for a hobby is to force it to pay your rent.
There is no shame in choosing stability. There is no shame in wanting a paycheck that arrives in your bank account every 2 weeks like clockwork, regardless of whether you had a brilliant week or an average one. The internet wants you to believe that if you aren't building an empire, you are failing. But the true failure is making yourself miserable chasing a lifestyle that doesn't fit your personality, your risk tolerance, or your goals. Corporate jobs offer a clear path, a community of peers, access to incredible resources, and the most valuable asset of all, the ability to leave your work at the door and truly live your life. So the next time a guru tells you to quit your job and buy their course, remember that peace of mind is a form of wealth that money and hustling cannot buy. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is accept that you are happy being normal, stable, and employed.